Were you ever dating someone or in a long-term relationship with them, but then things got pretty hard and you realized you were going to have to separate after a while, but you still had hope that the two of you could get back together after no contact? So you go no contact, and in the back of your mind, you're hoping that they're going to reach out. You're going to see them again. You're going to reconcile. They're going to have an aha moment and everything's going to be different. Only that never happens. And the period of time that you thought no contact would last goes for longer and longer, and you don't hear from them. And you start to wonder, was I just a placeholder in their life? What meaning did I have for them? They're just gone. Maybe you had gone no contact with your ex, hoping that it would give them time to realize how much you really meant to them. But in the end, you were only left with silence. Forget about reconciliation. As far as you're concerned, there was no closure conversation. Days turned into weeks, weeks turned into months, and suddenly you were left asking yourself a painful question. Why didn't they choose me? Was our relationship meaningful for them, or was I just disposable? You're not alone in these thoughts. Being worried that you're somehow disposable after a period of no contact with your ex is a question many of us come up against, and it cuts really deep. But what if I told you that their silence isn't about your worth? What if it's about their own inability to form meaningful connections? What if it's about their attachment issues or their difficulty showing up in long-term relationships? And more importantly, if we put them aside for a second and focus on you, what if you could turn this period of no contact into a chance to rediscover your value and reclaim your power? Today, we're really getting into the no contact rule, why it feels so brutal, and how to deal with the painful emotions that come up when you're going through it. We'll also talk about how to use this time to grow and create a future that's all about you. Okay, first of all, what is no contact for those that are not initiated? Well, the no contact rule is a strategy used after a breakup to create emotional distance between you and your ex. It involves cutting off all forms of communication. So that means no texts, no calls, no likes, no comments on social media, no accidental run-ins, no talking about your ex and asking what they're up to when you're with mutual friends, no scrolling through their social media trying to figure out what they're doing. And what's interesting is people tend to employ no contact for two different reasons. One, for healing and clarity. Many people implement no contact to give themselves the space and time to grieve the connection and to heal. Because breakups leave behind a tangled mess of emotions. Anger, sadness, confusion, loss. And no contact acts as a boundary, allowing you to untangle these feelings and rebuild. So that's one reason why someone might employ no contact, but others take a different approach. To be real, many people go into no contact hoping that their ex will miss them and come back, that the time and distance will make their ex reflect, realize the error of their ways, make significant changes, and then return to them. The idea is that by stepping away, they'll create an absence of void that makes their ex realize what they've lost. However, statistics show that reconciliation is not as common as many people believe. Studies indicate that only around 32% of exes actually reconcile, and only half of those reconciliations last more than a year. Additionally, 64% of people who implement no contact report that their ex did not reach out at all. These numbers highlight an important truth. No contact is not a fail-proof way to get your ex back or to fix your relationship. That's not what it should be utilized for. It should be about reclaiming your emotional independence and using the silence to focus on yourself, to focus on living with purpose. But while no contact can help you to rebuild and help you to focus on yourself, if you're still kind of hoping that your ex is going to come back, if you're hoping that they're going to reach out and they don't, that can really feel like a huge rejection. Even if you've already broken up, if part of you is hoping that they're going to break this no contact and message you when they don't and the weeks go by, you can feel hurt and discarded. And it can force you to confront some deep, painful issues, like the fear of being forgotten. If that's an issue for you, silence from your ex can feel like confirmation of this awful fear. You can start questioning everything. Were they relieved to lose me? Was I just a convenience? Were they hanging on, hoping I'd eventually break up with them? And these thoughts can leave you feeling disposable. Another issue you might need to confront is a tendency of romanticizing the past. During no contact, your brain might start to play tricks on you. It might replay the best moments of the relationship and conveniently forget the arguments, the hard times, and the friction between the two of you. This selective memory keeps you stuck, longing for an idealized version of your ex, which might have never really existed. But now that you're in no contact, your brain is building them up into someone that could give you the love and connection that you craved. That's where friends, family, a therapist can come in handy, because they can remind you of what happened in the relationship, what caused it to dissolve. And the last thing that might come up during no contact is having to confront the illusion of control. Because many people enter into no contact believing they have some sort of control, and that by doing this, they can make their ex come back. They can get their ex to become the best version of themselves, the version of themselves that they need them to be to continue in a relationship with them. And then when that doesn't happen, it feels like a personal failure. It feels like you didn't do enough to bring them back into your life, that you weren't important enough for them to do the work. There are a lot of myths about going no contact. So let's talk about the myths and the realities behind them. Because understanding that can help you to reframe your expectations and focus on what truly matters, your own healing. Myth 1, silence distance fixes everything in the relationship. Please remember, no contact does not fix the issues in the relationship. If you do reconcile, nothing's really going to change. Unless you're actively working on your issues, going to therapy, making purposeful, meaningful changes. If you do get back together, the issues that tore you apart will still be there. Nothing's actually going to be different. You're going to show up with the same baggage you left with. Communication, trust, or compatibility problems don't magically disappear during the silence of no contact. And when you're in this hazy no contact zone, it doesn't mean you're going to feel better. That's another myth. Because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how this is going to evolve. And you might think because you haven't had a closure conversation, because this is not definitively over, that you'll feel better. But the early days are often the hardest. It's like withdrawal. Your brain craves the dopamine it is associated with your ex. This pain doesn't vanish overnight, but with time it will subside and you will feel better. You just have to allow yourself the time to grieve. And more importantly, to acknowledge that no contact actually might become a breakup. Okay. So we talked about no contact, what it looks like, how painful it can be to get through it, and a little bit of what can happen after. Now let's look at some real strategies you can utilize when you're in this period of not talking to your ex. How can you help yourself to heal and rebuild? Well, let's look into self-care. And self-care is not about indulgence. It's not all about bubble baths. Here in No Contact is about reclaiming your identity and nurturing your overall well-being. So start with physical activity. Get outside. Just being outside can raise your vibration and make you feel better. And then exercise. Physical activity is one of the most effective ways to manage the stress and anxiety that come with no contact. Exercise releases endorphins, which improve your mood and regulate ups and downs. Prioritize good sleep, hydration, nutrition, because your physical health is deeply connected to your emotional well-being. Even small steps, like drinking enough water or eating a nutritious meal, can ground you when your emotions feel chaotic, when you're going through letting go of someone who meant so much to you. Then try to get creative. Writing in a journal allows you to vent and process your emotions and see how you progress over time. If you don't like writing, try painting, drawing, crafting, playing an instrument. Anything that can help you to channel these complex emotions into something tangible and meaningful. If you make a collage of just how you're feeling, you can see it all out there. You can process. Some people create playlists or a number of playlists to express their feelings post-breakup, and it can start off with very sad music and then build to something more empowering over time. Then build up your support network. Navigating no contact can feel confusing and isolating. Reach out to friends, family, a therapist, people who uplift you and support you. Choose people who listen without judgment and encourage you to prioritize your well-being. Avoid people who minimize your pain or push you to move on too quickly. You're allowed to grieve this loss. Maybe expand your social network. Join a team or a charitable organization or a knitting circle just to meet new people and make new connections. Distance brings clarity that's impossible to achieve during the fog of a relationship if you're going back and forth and talking every day, or if you're just looking through their social media every day. If you really go no contact, after the initial pain subsides, you'll begin to see the relationship objectively. You'll be able to recognize unhealthy patterns, red flags you ignored, and the ways the relationship didn't meet your needs. And this clarity will help you to avoid repeating these patterns in the future. You'll also have the time to rebuild your self-confidence. You're going to be totally focused on you. You might pick up a new hobby, reconnect with an old friend, make advancements on your career. Each step forward will remind you that you're capable and whole without anybody else. You're the whole package whether you're in a relationship or you're not. You're not defined by who you're with. And in that way, no contact fosters a sense of independence. You'll learn to rely on yourself for emotional support rather than seeking validation from an ex or from a partner. This independence fosters a strong foundation for future relationships. If you're going through no contact with your ex and they don't reach out, they don't come back, you don't reconcile, This does not mean you're disposable. Their silence doesn't diminish your value, but it does amplify your opportunity to rediscover it. Use no contact as a time to heal, grow, and reconnect to that person you were before you met your ex. And then introduce yourself to the incredible person you're becoming now. If this video resonated with you, let me know what your favorite breakup song is in the comments. If you had a song that helped you to feel better during no contact, let me know what it is. Remember, you have the power to turn pain into growth, silence into strength, and emptiness into opportunity. You can get through no contact, no problem.